So you're in LA doing the starving artist thing, and then what? You have your network back in Chicago. People see that you're in the service industry, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you come back here?" And like,
so kind of the start of it is, I don't know if you remember this place, but Erie and LaSalle. So that's kind of where I started, and it was this. It would go like, it was a live band focus to it. So it was live band, DJ. You would go band, DJ, and then DJ for the rest of the night. And it was just Cougar Town. And they nailed it.
what were you doing over there other than banging cougars? Like bartending, managing?
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Well, all right. Battle raps, cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin.
Welcome back to the Party with Strategy podcast. Very special guest in the building. A referral, actually, from a previous guest, my boy Robbie Schloss. Good old Robbie.
Shout out to Robbie.
He claims he watches the pod, so we'll talk a little shit about him today and see if it gets back to me. And I like to do that sometimes just to make sure people are still watching, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But we got NILS Westlind in the building. Did I pronounce your last name right?
You perfect, man.
Nice. Hell
Organically just flowing into this thing.
Tight. Salud Hospitality. But before that, we were just talking. You thought you were going to be an actor. Mm-hmm. You went to school for theater and things like that. You grew up in Cartagena. Mm-hmm. Is that how I say it?
Yeah, Cartagena.
Is that good, Diamond Cut?
About as close as you can get.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
I've been practicing.
Speak Spanish?
No.
No, it sounds like you speak Spanish.
No, I was copying you. But yeah, you said you're fully white.
Yes, fully white,
by
fully
birth,
Caucasian. By
birth, but lived in Colombia for 15 years. So your Spanish it's deceiving.
Yeah,
I had to ask.
Spanish is, I guess, simultaneously you could say it's my first language because my mom made us speak English at home because it was like, and I even started to talk like this. Because everybody was talking like this, and if I spoke normal English, they'd be like, "This guy's trying to show off," you know. So it was a funny dynamic, but yeah, I went to a British school growing up in Cartagena called Colegio Británico, and there was a British school and an American school. American school was called George Washington, or Jorge Washington as they called it, and my mom was like, "Well, we're already American, so you go to the British school." So had to wear a knee-high green socks and a jacket, tie, and everything for the first 15 years of my life in 90-degree, humid, hot weather. And then we, relocated and came to Chicago when I was about 15. So that is very much, I guess, my background or embedded in. It feels part of my culture. It's my adopted culture, if you will. So there's a lot of interesting books and things on these like TCKs, as they call them, like third culture kids, because you never really identify with that one or this one. You're kind of always in between.
Yeah.
So, but that kind of has been a very cool place for me to pull inspiration from and to toggle between and create and just kind of become an identity, I guess, so.
Yeah, that's tight. It's, for a guy that doesn't have much of any sort of culture other than like hot dogs and chicken fingers, it's pretty cool.
Hey, love a good Chicago hot dog. So,
yeah.
I haven't had one in a while, but.
You're a North Side guy. You came to Chicago, landed on the North Side.
I did.
What do you think, Superdog or Gene and Jude's?
Ooh. I mean, Superdog was right, but was closer to us. I mean, I was a Superdog for sure.
Yeah.
All
day.
Great stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the zingers. That's one of the questions. I could tell that was ready to go.
We just got to see where you're at,
Yeah.
Get a gauge.
Yeah, for sure.
But you went to North Park. Mm-hmm. That I grew up in Lincolnwood, so I'm right over there. My brother lives in Lincoln Square now.
Yeah.
Always over in that, North Side area.
It's like a melting pot, and amazing, great restaurants. You can go down. I remember coming from the private school, going to Chicago Public School, so very much a city kid, and go down Kedzie or whatever in Albany Park. You you could go Middle Eastern, Korean, Thai, you know, just everything within like a 2-3 block square foot radius, you know. But so it's just it's awesome, cool neighborhood to grow up in. So
yeah. And you decided at some point to not pursue theater and acting, right? Where was the switch? How'd you get from acting to alcoholism? So not to call you an
say it like it
alcoholic,
is,
but you know, this
like
industry.
Well, it was always a passion of mine. It was always in the back burner. I would say I really wanted to go that route. Took a lot of steps to go that route. Gave it a chance. My parents were behind it, but you know, it was kind of like you're on your own type thing. So I moved to LA after college and went full throttle with it. So I went to school for business as the main thing, because I think if I would have just done it all, they would have been like, I don't know. So did some theater in high school and in college. Kind of got comfortable background in it, so to speak, and then really went after it when I moved to LA, and I was there as long as I could be, you know, and it took its course. I mean, it was super fun, but always in the background, I was, you know, serving, bartending, hosting at a restaurant, some bar, a club, and slowly but surely, the starving artist kind of lifestyle starts, you know, kind of sinking its in nails into you, or whatever you want to, however you want to call it. And it bigger job offers kept coming back, you know, to go back to Chicago, manage this, and finally took one, and then slowly kind of went up the ranks in that. And so, but I mean, it was a super fun time in my life, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I think it's cool to be involved in that stuff. So yeah, we had a place right in Silver Lake. We were between West Hollywood and Echo Park, I remember, and lived in this mansion of a place that at the time we had to have 6, 7, 8 roommates at a time to be able to afford a place in California like that. And we did, and it was just like this. It was just a place full of creatives and musicians, artists, actors. A lot of them are doing really big stuff now. Many times I wonder if I would have just stayed the course, had the runway, you know, what would happen. But I'm not saying I wouldn't trade it. Everything's worked out to exactly where kind of I'm super happy to be. So
yeah, you always kind of wonder though. You're like, what could have happened?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Did you do any like background work or like commercials or anything? Did you get any little parts anywhere?
Yeah, I had a bunch of different things. We did some short films, some commercials, you know, and we were actually developing a comedy show. It's a buddy of mine at the time. We were pitching to Netflix. Netflix back then is not Netflix what it is now. Yeah. You know, and
did you still have to get your disc in the mail?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. And so at the time, I mean, we were just, you know, toying around, but like some of the guys that were in our network of people are all doing, you know, really cool stuff. At the time, I was doing a show. We were working with a guy named who's originally started in Chicago. His name was Lamore, and he actually, you know,
the black dude from New Girl.
Yeah.
You lived with him?
Well, we were all kind of in the same network. Yeah,
that dude's hilarious.
Really good friends with some friends of ours. Yeah, and so he's a buddy of mine. Every time he's in town, he comes to the club or comes to the restaurant.
Oh, bro, that's amazing. Which is crazy because Robbie said he knows Rick Glassman, and Rick Glassman's good friends with that guy.
Yeah,
and you know Robbie. It's all
all the good people know each other.
Yeah,
yeah. So we were doing this show, and we had shot some episodes and shot a cover photo for the, you know, for the CD or whatever, or how, you know, the movie case or whatever it was, in a park somewhere in the hills, and shooting champagne and doing goofy stuff. And it was, but you know, then he got on the New Girl, and it was like,
It's a wrap.
So that was over. And good for him. He's doing great now. He's doing Fargo and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, I mean, just like kind of coming from that, came back to Chicago, and decided to start getting serious about business stuff. Started my company's Salud after tons and tons of management gigs. That's how I got introduced to this. I just started seeing all these familiar faces coming on here, and I'm like, I gotta check this out.
Yeah.
So tell the story.
Yeah, let's all right, so you're in LA doing the starving artist thing, bartending, all that. You're basically in the service industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Staying afloat to live your dream. And then what? You have your network back in Chicago. People see that you're in the service industry and they're like, "Hey, why don't you come back here?" And like, they obviously know you, they know your work ethic, they know what you're capable of. They want you to work for them rather than being in LA bartending at some other spot, right?
Right.
So finally one bites, or you bite on an opportunity, right? You're like, fuck it, I'll go home.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, adjust it.
And then, so you come here, and what's the first thing you're doing?
So kind of the start of it is, I don't know if you remember this place, but when I was at North Park and I was in college, I was working at this place called Martini Park. It's where now it's a VEC. It's on the corner of Erie and LaSalle. So that's kind of where I started. And it was this gentleman out of New York, awesome guy. And they came in and he had this concept. They ended up opening a few of them. And it was kind of it would go like, it was a live band focus to it. So it was live band, DJ, you would go band, DJ, and then DJ for the rest of the night. And it was just Cougar Town. I mean, it was targeted towards the older, like River North End, Viagra Triangle people.
Yeah.
And they nailed it. And the place was packed with that. And it was super successful for a while. There was a huge problem later with it, and I had to close all their locations and stuff. But that's kind of where I started. So then after that, I don't know if you want me to get into why we have a lot of time, I guess. So I can get into all the different places that we went to, but or that I went to. But
what were you doing over there other than banging cougars? Like bartending, managing?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. And it was, it started off as serving, bartending, and then I VIP host, and that went into like daytime marketing stuff. So I was able to start seeing, the daytime side of the business, which I think is crucial to anyone who's in hospitality for a while. You understand that like a lot of people can't really encapsulate that, and they're like, oh, so you're here all the time at night? Like, how can you do this? How do you have a family? And la la la. It's like, there's a whole day side to things. Things don't just magically show up at the restaurant or at the club. Like there's orders, there's invoicing, there's creating the programming, there's the, all this stuff. But to like someone who's never been in it, like there's the whole business side to it, the accounting and the PR and all that jazz. And so that I think was when I started actually really enjoying some of that, because it started kind of pulling from, I'm like, oh, I can get some of the entertainment aspect that I like out of this. And I went to school for business, so I can also get some of the business side as well. And so it kind of was this happy marriage for that. And that was kind of what triggered, just continue to get experience. And I don't know that I've always had a bit of an entrepreneurial streak in me, I think, but it didn't happen until I was with many groups, and had some of those different groups maybe said, oh my gosh, like do more with us. Where I think, finding that like quality of life within this industry can be difficult. If you can find the right group, that's amazing. And I did work for some really really cool groups. But you know, it can be. It's kind of what led me to, hey, you know what? After enough spinning my wheels, I think I have this idea. I think this would really work. I think it is. I'm tired of, you know, asking for this, like to do this, and you know. And so, and now also having my own thing, I try to cultivate that. I try and, you know, we have a new young guy come in and he's just on fire. I'm like, okay, let's really plant the seed here and grow this thing, because I think that's crucial to survival in this, in terms of like, because everything that we try and do now, if we're doing a restaurant or we're doing something, I mean, the margins are slim. I love like our current setup. Like we have a Como, our Japanese fine dining restaurant.
Where's that located?
And that's in the West Loop.
Okay.
738 West Randolph. So we're right on the corner of Randolph and Halstead.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, and the other spot is right there as well. You got both of them right there.
Yeah. So, and we just opened Shogun in the basement, which is our members. It's a vinyl listening room and members whiskey den. So it's super fun.
That's sick.
Yeah, we love it. And
when you say vinyl listening room, does that mean it's one of those places where like the patrons get to pick what record they want to put on, or is there like a DJ playing vinyl down there?
So we started, and Shogun is brand new, and it was kind of a pilot test just to see if the concept had legs and if we wanted to go after it. And now we have a good problem, which is we don't have enough space. Literally got into an eater thing, started selling memberships, and people wanted it right away. And then it becomes, I think, really important to have curated, really cool programming where, you know, like we do different events, and they're not always within our four walls. Like the next one we're working on is something we might be doing at Soho House, where we're doing like a nigiri class with our chef, and we're bringing in a sake guy to talk about the sake pairing that we're going to be doing with it. We've done some different cool whiskey events and things like that. But it started as just this idea. We remodeled our kitchen and we had this big open space downstairs, and I was like, what are we going to do with this? And chef was like, started talking about pandemic and how there were all these bars all over Japan that were, you know, in people's houses. And so to answer your question, we started with DJs, and we've kind of just made it, being that sometimes Como has a DJ, and then Esco upstairs, the club has a DJ all the time. We didn't want to make it the same on all three floors. So we've made it more of a conversation place, and like you can pick the music, hand it to the bartender, bartender puts it on.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I've been to a couple spots like that.
Yeah.
And it's sick. It's usually like the bartender, all the vinyls behind the bar. You could see it. Mm-hmm. You can ask him to put something on. Yeah. And he kind of just throws it on in between drinks or whatever. Yeah. He's you know, he's sort of encroaching on our job, but I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I think people really get into, you know, putting things on. We've had to put some rules, and as whenever you build any concept, you kind of, you know, trial by fire and figuring out things that work. First, we were allowing people just to do it, and people start drinking. People are scratching records. People are putting the wrong music on late at night. So it literally was like, now we have the bartender kind of be like, okay, this is not going to really go right now, because we're doing a really eclectic range of music down in the basement. I mean, we'll have cool, you know, commercial dance albums from like, you know, Daft Punk and, you know, Rufus and all that kind of stuff, to old school hip hop, and, you know, even like Japanese stuff that we're throwing into it, and just like, and then some of my background, we have old school salsa albums and things like that. So it's definitely, it can get, you know, very eclectic, but I think people are into it, and it creates cool conversation, and people hang out, and they're, I would say it's organically organized the crowd, and you know, the way to, even just on a nightly basis, dinner reservations come in, our talk diners that do a tasting menu, then those people are like a little bit older and they'll go downstairs, but then like the party crew, they'll come in and they'll go upstairs. And so it's kind of become its own machine. So yeah, it's exciting. It's cool. It's cool to see those things develop and just, you know, everybody's working towards the same goal. So creating a memorable, awesome night out that has, you know, awesome stuff to it. So
yeah, that's awesome. And Como was your first spot that you opened?
So very first was a ronero, which means someone who's mastered the art of distilling rum. I love rum. Growing up in South America, that's, you know, every city has its own version of rum. You know, Colombia has their aguardiente, which literally translated means fire water. I don't know if you've ever had that, but
I've been to Colombia once. I've definitely had it.
Yeah. We have a tradition at ESCO that started with another DJ, a buddy of mine that I met also when I was younger, DJ Mauricio. I don't know if you know who he is.
Like OG Mauricio with the Sunday party?
Yeah.
He's got like 45 mentions on this pod. We're going to have to get him in here.
You got to get him in. Yeah. Well, we met when he was first starting that Sunday thing. Man, I don't even.
Body? Or still notice?
Oh, shit. It had to be way before
earlier,
Body.
Way earlier. So slowly it started in the north side.
It's gone everywhere.
Yeah.
This guy's been throwing a Sunday party at every venue that's got a liquor license.
Yeah. So yeah, it's gone every, man, you really sink into this couch.
Yeah. Sorry.
This is great. It's good. It started at a place called Tapatilla. All the way, it's on Ashland, if I remember correctly, all the way up north. And this place was like, it would get so packed. It was like thinking about it now, knowing all this stuff that I know now. When I was just I might have been underage sneaking into this place. And I remember the first time I went, air conditioners out, people are just like sweaty on top of each other. Might have been after a Colombia game. People are jerseys, and he stands on top of a bar, grabs an air tank, and just opens it. Not even like with a gun, like
just
just sprays the room. And I'm just like, it felt like I was back home and home in Colombia and not in the United States.
Yeah,
like how can this be allowed?
Was he serving Colombian hot dogs back then inside as well, or
not yet?
Okay,
all this stuff had just kind of gotten, I want to say, better and better. But, you know, yeah, that party's known, you know,
very well
because
known.
I don't know anyone else doing a Sunday thing that can get that big.
It's huge, and the truest testament to how well that party does is the fact that it's been everywhere. It's not about the location.
Right.
I mean, he could tell everybody, hey, we're leaving. They're at Gold Coast now. We're leaving Gold Coast, and we're going to go do this in the lobby of Lifetime Fitness on Chicago and State, and they'll be packed. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about where it's at. It's he's throwing the party and the party follows him.
Yeah. And there's a lot more history to that. So didn't really ever think at that time, many years later, he's going to be my Saturday night resident. But he has been with us, and we are doing our 8-year anniversary party, the 23rd of this month at ESCO. He's been with us for 8 years. We had a time period we closed for pandemic. It just no longer made sense, right? I mean, it was a nightmare for I'm sure everybody's said, you've heard this a million times, but for anybody to operate, like a 75% occupancy, 50% occupancy, 25% occupancy, come down, I'm throwing trees into the space, rugs, trying to make it feel, busier. And you got one guy in the corner, one guy, you just can't create the energy. You can't do what people come for when they come to a club anymore. So fortunately, we were able to, I think, our landlord was very reasonable, understanding that, good luck going to find a tenant in the middle of a pandemic for a hospitality concept. We're not paying rent, no problem. So we figured it out. That's how, just circling back, that's how Ronero closed, and we got Como open. So very good. And I'll come back to Mauricio in a second, but like very short story is like so we closed, and pandemic happened, and I thought, well, we can reopen because we had a long-term lease on that space. We can reopen. And West Loop also, when we opened, it was 2016 when we opened. So like West Loop had, so I did a restaurant. I was involved in a restaurant called Nelcoat down the street where the Allbirds is now. Kitty Corner, however you say that, to Soho was there. Girl and the Goat was there. Au Cheval was there. That's it.
Yeah, you're a visionary.
There was, I mean, I keep saying we, like, because of different people that were involved. We thought, I mean, we saw a lot in West Loop. I have a love-hate relationship with West Loop. More love, but just like the amount of development and stuff that's happened is so great. But it's also like construction all the time. Parking is always an issue. We had for 2 years, and when we opened Como for 2 years, they were building a high-rise next to us, and I want the high-rise. But they had like construction facade in front of our space for like
the scaffolding and all that.
For like 2 years. And then we got to, not to get all businessy on this, but you got to pay
this is what we want. I want to know what it really takes to open a spot and be in battle with the city, trying to tell them to get their scaffolding away from the front of your restaurant. You know what I mean?
You pay an MPEA tax, a metropolitan tax, for being in a good location, and which is 1% of your sales. And you got this in front. I had no street, and neither did, we're in between. So La Josie, us, Como, Nesco, and Shogun, and then Rue right next to us. And so like all of us suffered big time throughout that period. Came off, and I had, when it finally did, like 2 years later, we threw like big street party and all kinds of stuff. People were like, what is this place? Yeah. I didn't even know this place existed. I'm like, what? Like, it's just, sometimes if you can't see it, that's a big, street presence is a big thing.
For sure.
So, what happened was, another friend of mine, besides Mauricio, I think, and that's what's so great about Chicago, right? Is the relationships and knowing people, and when you're younger and you're meeting people, you never know, and that's always been a part of my, like, just, I guess, embedded in me, is always just being really good to people, because you don't, or as best as you can be, you never know what's going to happen, and they might need you, you might need them, or just like the symbiotic kind of relationship stuff. And so one of those examples was Maku, who is a very influential sushi chef in Chicago. I met him when I was one of the first people I met when I moved to Chicago. It's summertime, and I was staying around the house. My dad was like, you gotta get out of here. You gotta go get a job. You gotta do something. And I was like, well, what am I gonna do? And he's like, well, in Cartagena, you always scuba dive, and you knew all the fish and everything like that. My first job, I worked at a pet store. And
same, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I sold fish, and I was in the like exotic fish department, and ended up ordering fish and stuff later. But this crazy Japanese guy came in the middle of a winter storm, and I remember his jet black hair, and he was all leathered out. He rode motorcycles too, and later I found that out. And he came in, and he's sitting there just looking at fish, and he would come in pretty regularly. And I'm a young kid, and he comes in one day, and he's got this thing moving around underneath in his shirt, and I'm still like getting used to Chicago, and it was like freezing outside, and I come up to him, and I hope he's gonna be okay with this, because I'm gonna have to do his impersonations of like how he talks and everything.
Yeah, no, it's fine, especially if it's your boy.
No, he's my boy. He's my boy for sure. But he's known me forever, and my name is Nils, and he calls me Nair, and that's just how he's always called me.
Yeah.
And so he's a character. He's the coolest guy. But anyway, he came in with this thing on his shirt, moving around, and I come up to him, I'm like, hey, can I help you with something? He's like, no, go away, look at fish. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like kind of intrigued by this abrupt interaction. I end up coming back over to him, and he's like looking at the fish, tapping the fish. They're like going out everywhere, tapping the tank. And I'm like, hey, don't tap the tank. And he just kind of looks at me, and then I'm like, what's in your shirt? He goes, Chihuahua. And I'm like, okay. And all of a sudden we're there, and just like I hear like this noise, and I'm like, a tail pops out, and I'm like, that's not a Chihuahua, dude. Like, what do you have there? And he's like, okay, I show you, but you tell no one. It's on black market. And I pulls out. Monkey starts running around his neck in the store, and he's like got a leash on him. He's pulling down. He's got a diaper on it. And I'm like, this is wild. But I didn't react that much because I grew up in Colombia. I had a monkey. His name was Louis, and it was a red howler. And he had like a little leather pouch under his neck, and he'd run around the house and stuff like that. And he'd ride my dog. I had a dog named Abu. My mom who said like feeding time at the Westland Zoo. I even have a T-shirt. I brought the T-shirt, but I had a picture of me, and I was like the jungle boy. I had at one time in our house, in our apartment overlooking the Caribbean, we had a Dolores, Lulo, which are two like green parrots. We had a macaw. I had the monkey. I saved a bat. I had iguanas, and I had a boa constrictor, and our maid wouldn't go into my room and clean it because she said, serpiente, serpiente, no es el diablo. So she was like, no, I won't go and clean your room because it's the devil, My parents are like, no, God made all the animals, and like telling them all this. Anyway, back to the story. So Maku pulls out this monkey and is running around, and it became part of our story and even our restaurant story. And so he was like I didn't give too much reaction. He was like, and he asked me, and he's like, how do you, I'm like, I had a monkey. He's like, how do you have a monkey? You're a white guy. And I'm like, I had a monkey. I grew up in Colombia. He was like, oh. And so one thing led to another. He was a pretty frequent guy coming all the time, and I was trying to figure out why. And one day I went to his house. He invited me. I didn't know he had restaurants. I didn't know anything about him at the time. And I go to his house, and he's got fish tanks all over the walls. I mean, probably, I'd say 40 some tanks. And that's a lot of work if you like filtration, fish food, and all that stuff. I feel like this conversation, I'm just going all over the place right now.
Great.
But there's we're coming back to it.
Yeah. Are they saltwater and freshwater? Like
saltwater and freshwater.
Yeah.
He was big on more freshwater. I was trying to push him towards saltwater. But what I ended up doing is I would get damaged goods, and I would sometimes damage the goods and come to my manager, and it was old Chicago guy. I'd come in and I'd say, hey, I got, all this damaged goods. Can I put it? And he's like, just put it in a bag, take it out the back, come pick it up Saturday.
Damaged goods, talking about the fish themselves?
No. So it was like, fish food.
Okay.
Like filtration, carbon, all that stuff. But doing what he was doing is probably thousands of dollars a month in fish food and all this stuff. So I would start bringing it. And then he was like, at a certain point, like I had enough credits. I could go eat at his like Michelin star restaurant. So,
and you're what, like 17, 16?
Yeah. I started, I was 15. So I probably met him like 16. I just got my driver's license. I do remember. I just got my driver's license. I wanted to take this girl out on a date. And I was like, I'm gonna take him to this restaurant. Well, I'd never been to the restaurant. At the time, he had a restaurant called Kaze. It was in Roscoe Village. And it was beautiful restaurant. And I get in there and tasting menu. And I mean, how much do you really know as a 16-year-old kid about fine dining, But this is kind of when my education started in the sushi or world with him. So I pick her up, drive to this restaurant, and I get in there and I open the menu and I look at this, and I'm wearing a suit jacket. It's probably 2 sizes too big. I'm, trying to impress everything. And I remember, so then I sit down and I look at the menu. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't afford any of this stuff, So I'm sweating, and I look around the room and everybody's looking at me because it's all like very older people. And like, who's this kid dining in this restaurant
with this big jacket on?
And he starts, sending stuff. Yeah, exactly. And he starts sending stuff. And he's known for doing like these omakase and sushi towers and shaved ice and just crazy things. And it's coming to the table, and it's like super impressive. And I just remember at the time. It was the first time I ever gotten a comp or anything like that in my life. I remember getting the bill, and his wife came over, Tanya, she's amazing, came over and gave us, and she handed it to me, and it was 0, and it was like a smiley face, and it said, "Thanks for, the fish food," or whatever. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I was like, yeah, no problem, I got this. And I pulled out like the $20 cash out of my pocket, I put it for a tip. It was probably way less than I should have, but anyway. So that was kind of the story of us getting Como started, was because of that. And when we were going to reopen on Randolph, we had some time, and he had Maku Sushi in Lincoln Park, which is a great omakase kind of gem in Lincoln Park. He'd been there for 13 years or something close around that. And I went to one of their last services. I was like, I don't really like get into business with friends and stuff like that, but I said, I'd love to do this with you on Randolph, and he was like, okay, I come take a look. And I was like, okay, cool. And he did. And we walked through it. And I said, I'll change the whole first floor of the space. I got to keep the bread and butter. At the time, we knew Esco was just, I'll get into the Esco stuff, but that thing is just crushes. And so kept that. And there's some challenges with that, starting the music, starting DJs later. And so that, someone's coming for a fine dining experience, they can have that experience uninterrupted with somebody getting on the mic or something like that, because we try and circulate the sound, because I don't like that, first floor is hip hop, second floor is, and like you have sound carrying through, and it feels like we were at like a college party or something.
Yeah.
So we didn't want that. And it's very well insulated and soundproofed and stuff like that. But he said yes, and that was 3 years ago. And yeah, so now here we are. But the first one was Ronero, the Latin American one. We did that for a while, and then did a facelift. And that was kind of a right timing to do it too, just because it created a new splash, a new pop of something on Randolph. And there's just always like something new opening up.
Yeah.
And,
so Ronero is still open.
No, we
not.
changed it. Yeah,
so
we closed it.
Como,
Replaced.
it's same space. That replaced that. Okay.
Right.
So Esco's above Como. It's in the same building?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I've been to Esco a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Maximo plays over there.
Yeah.
I'll go show a little bit of love, ring up his Jose Cuervo tab a little bit.
Yeah. Good. I love that. Yeah. Thursdays, we have a little bit more flexibility, and we do kind of like different guest DJs, and so it's more open. And Fridays, we have a residency, and then Saturdays a residency. Fridays is with Arts, and then Saturdays with Mauricio. And going back to Mauricio, we knew each other forever, and it made sense. And that's when we started talking about aguardiente and all that, because we started doing this aguardiente time at midnight, that we would get up, and he had already been doing it in his parties. He poured it in people's mouths. Couldn't do that during pandemic, but that was a part of like one of our signature things that we started doing. And Fridays and Saturdays are packed. Thursdays are a challenge, I feel like, anywhere in Chicago. But we're coming out with something pretty cool soon that we're really excited about. So
You don't want to give it a little sneak peek?
Yeah,
a little preview on the pod or something?
Yeah,
tell us what you got cooking.
For sure. So, and this will also probably tie into some good segues to other things that we've done, or connect the dots of the different. Because I feel like guys like us, you have you got a long story of places that you've been at and things that you've done, and what places were cool and places were hot, and we're starting a ladies' night, I think, to rival all ladies' nights on Thursday.
Okay.
And so it's called Chicas. And we have a really cool team of people coming on board, and we're doing like a lot of places do, but we're doing a cool designer giveaway, which I'm gonna try and get this right, but the original, there was a guy, that created it originally, I think, was Cuvée. And
that was the first place I saw it for sure.
Because I worked with, you probably know, a guy named Matt Deichel.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened with him and another collective group of amazing people, Parliament, where Bounce was just closed, right?
Right next to Griddle, yeah.
It's hard to keep up with all the places opening and closing sometimes.
Yeah, mayhem.
But yeah, so I partnered with him. I was at Underground for a while. From Underground, I went to Parliament. And simultaneously, while Parliament was being built out, Deichel, a gentleman named Michael Taxi, I don't know if you know him, another guy, John Gillespie.
Gillespie, I just had dinner with him last week.
Did you really?
Yeah, good time.
He's awesome. And a guy named Alexios. All of us were doing Parliament together. But we moved to I moved and actually lived in Austin, Texas, and opened a place with Daigo in Austin, Texas called Rio, which is still open. There's some stories about that. This guy out there was just like awesome. Long story. I got to be careful how I say this, but like ton of money. Wanted to open a nightclub. Wanted to be the biggest deal in Austin, Texas, but didn't want to do it in like the college-y area. Wanted to do it on West 6th and Rio Grande. And if you know anything about that area, it was like a higher end restaurants were starting to come into that area. It was the spot to be. I got unlimited budget. I want a pool on the roof. I want a sports bar underneath. I want the best sound system available to humanity. I want all the stuff. You got 2 months, go.
That's tight.
And we're like, what? It's got to be open before F1. F1 was coming there. And we're like, there's no way. There's no way we can do this.
West 6th is further from the highway, right? Dirty 6 is towards the highway.
Yes.
That's east. Mm-hmm. West 6 is further. Okay.
Yes. Man, I wouldn't even remember that. You're more familiar with it than I am. But
I was in Houston for 3 years. Okay. So I went to Austin a lot.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
The Party with Strategy podcast has a brand new sponsor. Make sure you guys go check out Rendezvous Limousine Services for any of your travel needs around the Midwest. It's the best you can get, top notch. Let's be honest, everyone's a little sick of buying Ubers, getting charged for Uber X's like they're black cars, and you know, the market's just not what it used to be. You might as well go with your best bet, Rendezvous Limo Service. They got party buses, they got Sprinter vans, they got Escalades, they got Navigators. Only the best of the best. Make sure you check out Rendezvous Limousine. You can find them on Instagram at RNDZ Limo or their website, Rendezvous Limousine. If you're grammatically challenged like myself, Rendezvous is RENDEZVOUS. And we might as well do limousine as well. LIMOUSINE. Rendezvous Limousine, best you can get anywhere you want to go in the Midwest, airport pickups, drop-offs, party buses, just going to see a friend. Do it in style. You know what I'm saying? Let's get back to the episode. Thank you guys for watching.
But yeah, so
we can pick up where you were telling me about Austin, Rio in Austin. You had 2 months with $4 billion to make whatever you...
Great that. But it was, and that's kind of I can spin off of like the places and the concept and the trajectory of my career getting to where it is now and what we're doing in the future. I mean, like that was one of the spots. So it kind of went, for me coming back to Chicago, was it Martini Park, did, the Nelco concept. I worked with the gentleman you had on here, Arturo, love Arturo. With the Rocket Group. And they had a lot of places. I was at Underground. And then I went to Parliament. Did that. In between that, just a ton of different things. Robbie, who you've also had on here. Shore Club. During pandemic, when we were closed and doing things, helped out at Short Club. That place is a beast,
dude.
That place is big.
One of my favorite DJ sets. You're just in the booth. You're looking at the beach. You're looking at the lake, the water, so playing cool vibes. Yeah, it was great.
It'd be so awesome if Chicago would activate the some of the F&B concepts more along that. I know the Park District wants to keep things a certain way, and it's very controlled and everything, but it's super cool when you're out there, and I mean it's beautiful, and there's not a lot, you know. What do you got? You got Whispers, that, and there's Castaways, which just got redone, I think.
What's F&B?
Oh, just food and beverage stuff.
Okay. Like on the beach, you mean?
Yeah. Like whenever you go somewhere else, like, you know, Florida, Miami, travel internationally, like coastlines or just anything like that. There's just so much of it, and I feel like we only have a little bit. But anyway, we were in Austin. Opened this place, wild experience, million stories. It was an absolute blast. We met some really interesting people. Some of the largest tabs I have ever seen.
Really?
Outside of, like, you know, seeing stuff in Miami or Vegas. At that time, and I don't want to name names or anything, but I was blown. I think we were all blown away. Even someone like Matt, who has had some massive ringers, you know, like, it was astonishing to see the amount of champagne, as he would say, like, that went out, like, was ridiculous.
What was, like, who are these dudes? Are they like oil dudes from Texas? Like, what is the industry that's feeding into that, you think?
I don't remember how I say this. I think
Drug dealers.
I think there was a I'm gonna say names, but I'll just say, like, when we did, I remember a couple freak out moments when we did our initial order, our opening order for booze. You know, we had all the Class A wasn't around then, but, like, we had, like, all the 1942s, we had all this different stuff, we had all the Ace, we had everything you need for open high-end champagne, high-end ultra lounge, whatever you want to call it, like on a roof. The concept was very cool. But we got down to it, got everything in, and then we met with one of the partners, and the guy said, "What is this?" And we're like, "Well, this is what we need to open." And, like, collectively, there's some experience between the operator we had, Matt, myself, different, like, Gillespie. People would be like, this is more than enough. Like, what are you talking about? Double it. Like, what? Like, at that time, we were seeing, you know, 20, 30 bottles of Ace and Dom going out at a time, you know, like, that was just a start of it. I mean, there was some massive tabs over there. Yeah, I'll be careful about how I say it, but, like, it was just crazy. Some of the ones. So, yeah, but it was a cool experience. Doing that, coming back to, and you don't see that as much in Chicago, like, guys that are going out and doing that anymore.
That era kind of ran its course. I feel like it'll come back. Everything comes back, but right now it's not. People aren't popping bottles like that.
Yeah, and like, even just I think Chicago doesn't have. I mean, has it for sure, but it's at least I feel like there's a lot of it's a 9 to 5. For me, some of the creatives and some of the different things that I remember about, like, even living in LA or different things, or spending time in Miami, is like, you can have a Tuesday or a Monday or a Wednesday be as big as a Saturday, and you don't see that happening as much in Chicago. And if it is, like, people are just like, it's our hometown, they're not going to go out and spend that. They'll spend it on vacation, but we're not, like, doing that or spending that as much as it was for a while. And then when you do have those guys, you got to be careful. You can't, like, burn them out too fast. So, but yeah, so then we did that, came back to Chicago, open up Parliament. I was there for a while. That was a fun thing. Did you ever go to Parliament?
Parliament?
Yeah.
A couple times, yeah. That was, like, right in the beginning of me entering the DJ scene downtown. Cool. I was playing at Stout all the time.
Oh, cool, yeah.
I didn't really know a lot of people. It was hard to get in at Parliament. I remember James was at the front door.
Gosh, how could I even forget about my buddy and pal? James is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Worked with him on all kinds of stuff. And like so we left. When we left Austin, he moved to Austin. This is the story of all these great people. So yeah, he was out in Austin. Then he came back to we did Parliament, and yeah, fun times, man. Fun times there.
Yeah.
So,
do you have anything in the works? Are you looking to do a new spot? Do you have a concept that you're building out, sort of, and waiting for the right location, or?
Yeah, we are in the middle of 2 different. One's more restaurant focused. We have a taco concept coming out very soon. Who doesn't love tacos? Also love the business model of it. I'm very much in the high end sushi world right now, so I'd love to see the food cost drop. We have toro, tuna, and wagyu and A5 Japanese wagyu galore and all this stuff. It's just like it's Japanese whiskey, which is just unbelievably allocated and expensive. So I'm excited to not that the tequila world's any cheaper, especially now. That just keeps getting more and more popular. I feel like every week there's a new celebrity tequila or a new company or something like that. So for us to even consider carrying new stuff like that, when the reps come and knock on our doors, I'm just like, what's the story? Tell me something new. Tell me something that like we can sink our teeth into, that we can, re-pitch back out to the guests that has some something to it. But we're opening a taco concept. That's coming. It'll be in River North. We're expanding upon Shogun. So Shogun, as I was mentioning earlier, was kind of a pilot, like a test. And I really like the membership component of it. So we only have 28 lockers. We sold the 28 lockers pretty quickly. It was $1,000 down one time. We help get you familiar with, or help get you building a really cool whiskey collection, if that's what you want to do, or any kind of spirit collection within the locker. And if you want to, we give you access to some of our commercial pricing. We give you access to stuff that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise. So that's with the locker. It's $125 a month. People don't have to have a locker membership. It gets you a cool Shogun keychain membership thing. You can go on all the different floors and things like that. But I wish I would have here, I'll pull this out and show you. But this is like our logo, so it gets you the Shogun member, on that side. But
tight.
Yeah, the whole thing about it is access. I remember a cousin of mine lives in London. I went when I was visiting out there, kind of at the same time, kind of all came together in my mind. I love to travel for an extra source of inspiration for different things, and all these members clubs, and just hanging out with a pretty group of posh folk, if you will, and they were like, we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. The commoners go there. We need to go somewhere that's, for us. And I was noticing that there were all these just different members clubs outside of even way more than Soho. Just there's a lot for that out there. And I was like, this is a cool concept. And then as we started doing it too, we started discovering all these other cool things, like it not being subject to sales tax for membership because it's not a product, so you're not getting taxed at 11.75% on that, which was a cool thing. And I love that in terms of like a seasonality, because Chicago has great, food and beverage scene, of course, but there is this like down, January, February, March, people are not doing anything. So it creates a layer of like, these guys don't care about, $125 a month. And it just creates a cool layer of like, buffer there of that coming in, and we can continue to add that into like creative, cool experiences for people, and all that. So
that's tight. If you're a members only kind of spot, does that give you flexibility on operations at all? Like if you're not just open to the public, which every other establishment with a liquor license, whatever, has to close at a certain time, or, you know, do you get that? Is there a component of that comes with like a membership based spot?
No, I still have to go by all the liquor licenses and that, you know, what you have. You still have to abide by all that. But,
Okay.
And we do open. So like if you go on Talk and you're booking a tasting menu reservation for Como, or we still have 8 to 10 available for people for reservations. It's just not open to the public. Like you can't just roll in and grab a drink at the bar because it's a small boutique little space. And it is members past 10 p.m. like once the reservations are over. And so, yeah, we've just found that people enjoy having a space that's a little bit more private and not so packed. Like upstairs, just it's like, you know, sardines packed in, you know, but downstairs is a little bit more chill. So
Yeah. How do I open a members only spot where you could smoke tobacco inside while serving alcohol? There's got to be some kind of loophole here. I mean, that's the Chicago way, right?
It's it'd be great. It'd be great if it was easier. There's and I've had our own members ask that. Am I close enough to this microphone?
You could pull it closer. Never hurts.
All right. So there's a couple of places doing it well. Clayton is a member cigar club. There's a lot of different things that you can and can't do with that. You just can't really, to be honest. Also, food, right? So 25 feet out, like you can't even be close to it on a patio. So if you have food, it's not even a possibility. Because people ask me all the time, "Can I smoke a cigar?" And I'm like, "No, dude, like we're serving food. Like, can you, you know?" Like I have members ask me, I have a few drinks, like, "Hey, I'm gonna light up a cigar." I'm like, "No, you're not." You know?
You got $1,000 sushi rolls going out. This guy's cigar like, smokes in their face. Yeah, it could be an issue.
So yeah, no, there's really not. And if you are gonna do it, then it has to be like engineered in a very particular way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. So
I know hookah is like such a missing component in nightlife in this city, but also probably for the best.
Yeah.
If we're going to be honest.
Yeah. I got an operational nightmare, burning people, falling, like just on a regular weekly basis, the amount of stuff that we go through, just this weekend alone, the stories that happen on Saturday, I can't even understand sometimes. I'm just like, some people should just not be allowed to drink.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's most of them. So you know, as someone like you who runs alcohol serving establishments, you'd probably lose some dough, but it would help the community.
Man, I don't want to lose the dough, but I could lose some of these people, you know? It is. It's crazy. There's been some wild stories. I'm drawing a blank on what line we were on here, but I was supposed to be telling you something about more places. Yeah. So Bar Shogun, we're going off of that. We're building it to scale. So right now it's just Shogun, our members room. We're building Bar Shogun, which is going to be where our Shogun now is very high end. Bar Shogun is going to be Japanese comfort food. There'll be things like a wagyu sandwich, udon noodles, just not like a ramen bar by any means or anything like that, but just a more casual approach to what we're doing with Shogun, and a lot more membership available. So we're doing Bar Shogun. My main big project, I don't know how much time we have, but I'm good. But my main big project that I'm super, super excited about that's coming up is, obviously, I told you all about, my background growing up in all over South America and Colombia, everything. So I have a passion for all things, Latino. We're doing a Latin American music venue, steakhouse first, attached to it. La Caja is the venue, is the name that we're toying around with right now. La Caja is a snare drum that's used in salsa, merengue, a lot of Latin music, and it also means the box, right? So it's a music box. And so that is going to be attached to our Del Sur steak concept that we're doing. So I really just think that there's not a lot of places doing like the old school supper club, like have dinner and a show the right way, elevated.
2 different rooms, you mean, right? Or are you bringing
There's going to be a side room that is, if you want to have the casual dinner, the 5-6 p.m. That's not show dinner, but the concept is primarily to be. There'll be areas or ways to separate it, because I love doing that whenever we're designing our spaces too. Like we do that even with Esco. I think it's, again, just with the seasonality of Chicago, you have to be able to, like, we're curtaining off this room, we're not opening the back room tonight. You can create that more intimate feeling when it's a blizzard outside and no one's doing anything, and so you can always make it feel that, because walking into like just a desolate, huge open room doesn't do anyone any good. So we're excited to be doing this. It has been in conversation and in the works for a long time. Some of our managers and people are probably like, "Oh, here he goes talking about it again." But Rome wasn't built overnight. These things take time, precise engineering. Whenever we're building something, it's so particular. Everything matters, I think that's what's so cool about this: building a restaurant, building nightlife, building a club, building a bar. But it's also what's so difficult. Knowing that you're, like, whenever I have a new busser, just starting from like, or server assistant, as they should be called, or whatever. Everything's getting so technical now. Everybody's like, hey, call me this, call me that. Like, you should be, back in the day, you just say what it is.
Yeah.
But I would train them, like through everything, so that they know more than just their baseline things. And I think that is one of the most difficult things to take time aside or to do, is you have to start from the bottom, you start from the top down too. We get bringing new managers, they have to learn all these intricate details. But when we're building these things, that's why I always say, like, it takes time to do it right. And so we've been searching for the right space. We've found it, and we're about to start building. Just a little bit about, like, Esco, like, going back, you go through the rum barrel doors. When I grew up in Cartagena, there was a skate park next to this Castillo San Felipe, which was a tourist castle. And I remember going, scaring the shit out of tourists when I was a kid with all my buddies, and all the gringos would come, and I was hilarious because I was a gringo, and I'm going, and I had my skateboard, and we would go and hide in this old castle they had, that where there was these long hallways, and there was like these built-in caves, and the soldiers would come in, the conquistadores would come in, and the Colombians would stay inside, and when they would let them invade the castle, and when they were all there, you could stand like in the cave and look, and you'd see all of them in the corridor, and they would come with their bayonets and they'd stab them all in the thing. So we would hide there, and all the gringos would come down, and the tour guide would be like, and here we have the area where and then they're like, we would come, and then we'd scare them, and they're like, get out of here. And then we're like little kids. So I wanted to recreate that when we were building Ronero at the time, or Esco. As we come through the back doors, it's a big rum barrel door, and it's blended in. One of the rum barrels you pull, and it opens the door, and you come into the space. So just getting back to, like, building things and making sure that every little piece of something, the menu, the glassware, has some bit of a story or something to tell in the space. I mean, it's all marketing, it all helps tell the story, tell the experience, and now more than ever, I think that's prevalent. That's phone eats first on everything, like, you can't even, like, I sometimes I wonder if people are even interacting. Are they having a good time? Because I don't even see people having conversations. It's just food, picture. Maybe that should be compliment, because the food looks pretty. Mako's doing a good job. But yeah, so we're excited for this next one. It is an entertainment driven restaurant concept. I don't want to call it a clubstaurant type thing, because I don't want it to get into the douchebaggery of that. Like, but I'm very kind of taking it back. Actually, when I think about it now, I didn't connect the dots. Like, kind of reminds me of like a Martini Park, even though they were playing like Jesse's Girl, you know, and all the like that kind of music, and it was attracting the cougars.
Yeah.
See, I'm bringing it back full circle, man. We're getting into it, you know. But like, this is, you know, somebody's shaking a Cuba Libre with Guantanamera, you know, behind live, palm trees, al fresco dining, patio doors open, beautiful corner. Maybe in the West Loop.
So this is gonna have like live Latin music, like live percussionists and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
That's sick. Yeah.
and then we will have a up and coming Latin American DJ,
You could say
Headliner?
Maximo.
Maximo. Once or twice a month, built into our thing. But like,
Are you talking someone from like out of town? Like you're flying someone in?
like big stuff.
Oh, hell yeah.
And some partners with some Latin fests and things like that we haven't been able to take now because Esco's a small space. Part of the reason we feel like it's been successful and packed and we're having this 8-year anniversary thing is because we've been able to curate and keep it. This is what's been so difficult to do, but try and keep that high end. And I hate even saying this because we all grew up in Chicago and it's this multicultural city and everything, but the wrong thing can happen and places can get shut down. And you all we're trying to do, all of us in this industry, is create, you know, lasting or cool memories through awesome times that we're celebrating together, birthdays, anniversaries, you know, and dinners and in the club, you know, celebrations, business, blah, 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 whatever, or difficult times, you know, that people are going through too. We're there as a space for people to unwind and be together in a sense of community. I mean, it's not quite a church, but you know, but like there's a similar thing there. And I think that, it's been a bit of a, if I'm being honest, it's been a bit of a bummer to see a lot of the amount of violent stuff that was like, and maybe it was, I don't remember it being even going back. Do you remember it being quite this bad as it's gotten, you know? And
Not at all.
Yeah. And that's, you know, like it's been it's a thing now. Am I going to bring in a metal detector thing? Huge. We do some stuff now at the front. That ruins the experience? People don't want to come in now. You know, like,
I think it used to be a deterrent,
right?
You know, when things weren't as violent and you saw a metal detector or something, you were like, wait a second, should I even be going in here? But now it makes me feel more safe. I'm like, yeah, please.
Right. And it's not exclusive to us, right? It's movie theaters, it's everywhere. And so I think that is something that we talk to our door staff about. And I have them have great one-liners and think, you know, when people are like, you guys are being racist, or, you know, you guys are doing this. It's like, we really want to protect you and everyone who's coming into this because it's important. I mean, without it, we'll cease to exist. And so that has been also something that we're in conversations with, and price points also can help with some of that stuff. But in building this next one, right? Like, and also, you know, applying for licenses and aldermen and different things. If you present the wrong concept, you're probably going to be like, nope, not doing that, you know? And so, reputation is important. And so like what we're doing with it being high in Latin, I think it's been something that we want to expand about. I again, we built this box that is Esco, that is like these 4 walls that like have become a niche to like our Slam Fridays and Slam Saturdays, is because my wife's Brazilian. I have Spaniard friends, Argentine. I have Colombian people come up to me. Thank you for playing the music that is of us. You know, it's our history. It's our background. And that was really when we started building Esco, I was like, do I want to do a top 40 nightclub? I've done them. We built them, and and in no way, shape, or form am I saying it's not a good idea. There's a lot of them, is all I'm saying. So we decided we're gonna go more niche, and then and it's a problem too. Girl, like, you know, come in, oh my God, can you play? You know, and I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And so we play reggaeton, we play salsa, we play merengue. Sure, now Latin house is becoming quite a thing.
Love Latin house.
So that's been cool to kind of like, we keep it mainstream enough. We're like, you know, bros can come in and
there's a
Latin
drop,
girls, bro.
There's a build and a drop for them.
Yeah. So, you know, that's been our focus, to keep it authentic. And I think if you are doing something that's authentic, people can feel it. And even if I've seen sometimes guys be like, oh man, this is great, I get it, but like, it's not my thing, but it's authentic. Like, then at least when they're leaving, they're like, dude, that place is like, when my Latin people come from Mexico or something, I'm taking them over there, or whatever. You know, like, so we want to expand upon that. That's my point. It's been my goal, this new place, this new concept. We're excited about it. We're working with some amazing chef talent, multiple people involved, and we are excited to do not really like a fogo de chao, because we're not doing that like super touristy type thing, but we will have taste of Argentine steaks, Brazilian steaks, and churrascaria. Yeah, we're having a lot of that.
That's sick.
Small plates, you know, there'll be like kind of like a tour of going through South America, some of the highlights, ceviches, you know, pescado frito,
Mofongo?
picanha. I don't know if we'll go as hard as mofongo, but you know, but he knows his stuff. So we'll have that food elevated, and then we'll have amazing. And I've been working with these bands for like the live Latin bands, and I can't really do bands at my place because it's too small. Like, big band, then like it just doesn't, you know. So we've been more DJ focused at Esco, but like, we want to have that full experience. So if you come in and you want to have a casual dinner, if you're coming in and you want to have like the dinner and a show, you've booked the 8:30. Show starts, lights down, boom, spotlight on, you know, old school supper club feel. And I think that we're shying away from bottle service might exist in the space later. Man, I'm really sinking into this couch. It's just a great couch, dude. I haven't eaten one of these at my house.
Salvation Army, Houston, Texas.
Woo! I love it. So, but we want to, you know, keep it around the live music element, and more of a table minimum type thing that you'll meet with food and drink than bottle service.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just to keep it elevated. And not that there's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But speaking of entertainment, I have a question about Bar Shogun. Are you keeping that vinyl, all vinyl?
Yeah.
Nice. And when you say vinyl, does that mean if you have a DJ in there that's on Serato but using turntables, is that acceptable, or is it no Serato vinyl?
Man, I think it had. So we started doing vinyl. You know, mix. We had CDJs and 3000s down there, and the whole setup. And I also just we didn't have enough space to like justify doing it. Like, and so on this next one where we're building it out, I think we have to do vinyl.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, and go for vinyl DJs.
I like that.
Or there's a lot of DJs that can do both, you know, but like focus it around that.
Yeah.
And then this next one that we are doing, it'll be a little bit more funky and it'll be more bar. So we'll be able to create a cool vibe and have the space to do it. Yeah, it's cool as we grow. I really like putting people at leads and things like that. Like that. That's obviously going to be more a chef, because it's his background, you know.
Yeah.
But it is cool to get like passionate about it and dive into another culture and fully nerd out about it, you know.
This was fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome recommendation. Thank you, Robbie, if you are watching or made it this far.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you, Robbie.
I love your story. I'm super excited to check out Como. I want to go over there.
Yeah, please.
I want to check out Shogun and pick a record out to put on or something.
Yeah, dude.
I've been to Esco a couple times. I'll be back.
Yeah, come by anytime. Love to have you. It's cool, man. You know, just Shogun's is for it's for us. It's for the, you know, you can get away from it for a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And then when you want to get back into it, you just take an elevator ride and go up.
Yeah, that's sick. That's awesome that it's all in the same building. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're excited. Cool. We have these couple things to roll out. It's all happening this year, so that's wild. It's a lot happening. As I was mentioning to you earlier, I just had a baby, so that's taking up a lot of time. So the stuff might be going a little bit faster otherwise if I hadn't done that, but best thing ever. So yeah.
Dope. Well, thank you for coming all the way out here, joining me.
It's my pleasure.
A lot of traffic these days, but
oh my gosh,
you know,
it's all good.
Someday maybe it'll clear up. I don't know. It's been years.
I feel like I still have so much more to say. I feel like I just got warmed up.
We could do another one. Maybe we'll do an on-site pod. That's me and Dolo have been trying, not Dolo, me and Diamond Cut have been trying to do some of those. We got some lined up, but yeah, if you want to do another one, maybe we could come out to your spot,
love to
set it up, show off, you know, what you've built.
No, yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Love to have you guys down there. For sure.
All right. Well, wait for part 2.
All right.
We'll be back. Thank you guys for watching. If you're on the YouTube, make sure you like the video, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. That's big. We need that. Algorithm activating activity. That's what we like to see here. And we'll see you next time.
Boom.
Peace.
Peace.
Well, alright. Battle raps cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin. That's what I love about the human soul. It'll usually show when the truth ain't told.